This is Frankfurt, Germany. 50 years after the Bank of England opened its doors, a goldsmith named Amschel Moses Bauer opened a coin shop, a counting house, in 1743. And over the door he placed a sign depicting a Roman eagle on a red shield. The shop became known as the Red Shield Firm, or in German, Rothschild. When his son, Amschel Meyer Bauer, inherited the business, he decided to change his name to Rothschild. Amschel soon learned that loaning money to governments and kings was more profitable than loaning to private individuals. Not only were the loans bigger, but they were secured by the nation's taxes. Mayer Rothschild had 5 sons. He trained them all in the skills of money creation, then sent them out to the major capitals of Europe to open branch offices of the family banking business. His first son, Amschel Meyer, stayed in Frankfurt to mind the hometown bank. His second son, Solomon, was sent to Vienna. His third son, Nathan, was clearly the most clever. He was sent to London at age 21 in 1798, 100 years after the founding of the Bank of England. His fourth son, Karl, went to Naples, and his fifth son, Jacob, went to Paris. In 1785, Mayer Amschel moved his entire family to this larger house, a 5-story dwelling he shared with the Schiff family. This house was known as the Green Shield. The Rothschilds and the Schiffs would play a central role in the rest of European financial history and in that of the United States.
You may be thinking to yourself, how does all this Bavarian Illuminati, Council of Foreign Relations, Bilderberg stuff relate to my life and the lives of every single human being on the planet? You may also be pondering, what does any of this have to do with Abraham Lincoln and political assassinations altogether? The answer to this is as easy as tying your shoelace or watching the television, and it's found in just one word: Freemasonry. Millions of people around the world belong to this organization known as the Freemasons, yet many of us do not know the seriousness of what this actually implies. Likewise, most fail to realize that hundreds, if not thousands of people in your city are involved in this. If you don't believe me, just open up your phone book and give them a call for yourself. I'm sure that they will verify all of the information I have discussed in this documentary series. In fact, I urge you to do this for the freedom of the human race, for it's the only way. I must warn you ahead of time though, if you do make that phone call, they may attempt to use means of trickery and deception to recruit you into the masses, to continue to be the wealthy elite above what they call commoners, who are non-Masonic individuals.
The Royal Archmasons describe their highest-ranking brothers as Grand Solicitor Generals of the Supreme Grand Chapter. There is a secret word, the name of the true Masonic God, which none are allowed to say in public. This name is Yarbulon. The Masonic God is not the same God of the Bible, which the Masons call Adonai. Yarbulon has been described by Christian minister Canon Brian Brindley as an unholy compound of the Hebrew name of God, Jehovah, with the heathen names for Baal and Osiris. The highest ranks of Freemasonry utter Yarbulon as the one sacred and mysterious name of God. Yarbulon is a tripantheon Masonic god, in part deified as the historical Baal, which the Oxford English Dictionary confirms as being a Hebrew word. Baal is the chief male deity of the Phoenician and Canaanite nations. To the tribes of the Old Testament, Baal was the devil himself. Albert Pike is America's most celebrated Freemason. Pike was Grand Commander Sovereign Pontiff of Scottish Rite Freemasonry in the southern and western United States from 1859 to 1891. Scottish Rite Freemasonry has its own headquarters at the 33rd degree in Edinburgh. The United Grand Lodge of England has tried to deny that the true god of Masonry is Yarbulon, or has anything to do with the devil. But Albert Pike describes Yarbulon as a symbol of the infinite and eternal Godhead, a mongrel word whose name has been for 2,000 years an appellation of the devil. On the 14th of July 1889, Albert Pike issued these instructions to 23 Scottish Rite Supreme Councils throughout the world. We worship a God, but it is the God that one adores without superstition. To you, Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 30th, 31st, and 32nd degrees. The Masonic religion should be the Luciferian doctrine. Lucifer is God. The true and pure philosophical religion is the belief in Lucifer. So, Yarbulon is really an alternative name for the devil. The last syllable, on, is a code name for the ancient Egyptian god Osiris, who was the god of the dead. There can be no doubt that the Scottish Rite form of Freemasonry in America and Britain is controlled by high-ranking 33rd degree Masons who worship Satan or Lucifer as their god.
Is the meaning of this. And this is a very mysterious symbol which, you've heard all sorts of explanations for it, but I'm going to give you the Masonic Illuminati inner meaning of what this means tonight. And it's going to probably gross you out and astonish you, and I apologize in advance for that. But this is what it means. Crowley reveals the secret behind the all-seeing eye symbol in one of his books, the Book of Thoth, which is a very advanced manual on tarot card readings. And this is the eye of Lucifer.
And by the time the council came to a close, they had three major policies that were going to be followed. First, they were to see to it that humans would be made to believe that Satan and his angels do not really exist. And he told us, he says, look, we worship spirits. We worship Lucifer and all his angels. They're just as beautiful as they did before they were cast out of heaven. He says there was a misunderstanding in the whole thing. He said among the inhabitants of the galaxies. And he says our master was misunderstood. And through these people, they are sold to the fact that Christ will not return to this planet with power and great glory. He's going to abdicate all claims to the planet. Because the high priest once said that Christ will abdicate all claim to the planet because he knows that it is lawfully and rightfully Satan's. there, like the priest mentioned, there's thousands of spirit worshippers in all these different societies of spirit worshippers in this world. But he says we are the elite. We know the real truth about the Master and his angels. The Master's grain plane for harvesting the nations, for harvesting the multitudes of the earth into his cause, just before the close of the great controversy between the forces of good and evil. So we continued, after we expressed ourselves that we're deeply interested to know more about the activities of spirits. And he said it's going to be done in a unique manner. This grain plane is going to take people are going to eat the stuff. Because he says spirits, demon spirits, will declare themselves to be inhabitants of far distant planets in the galaxies that are coming to warn the inhabitants of planet Earth of the impending destruction of the planet, unless something seriously proper is done to avoid it.
Masonic mind control, that the alchemical managers have bred over a millennia, over 1,000 years. They said they bred a human race that is most wretched, stupid, and ignorant. It's so unrivaled in thousands of years. He said these blind slaves say they are free and highly educated, even as they march behind, notice this word, signs. Have you ever taken time to analyze a sign or a billboard or a logo? He says a medieval peasant would have run away in panic-stricken terror from the signs that modern man embraces.
Once you know the vowels.
Just answer the question.
Well, I mean, I just had to learn how to pronounce it. I mean, it hasn't been a living spoken language in more than 1,000 years. I mean, look at this. It says, a traveler from distant stars escaped from a dying world looking for a way to extend his own life. His body decaying and weak, he couldn't prevent his own demise. Apparently his whole species was becoming extinct. So he traveled or searched the galaxies looking for a way to cheat death. And, look here. He came to a world rich with life, where he encountered a primitive race, humans. A species which, with all his powers and knowledge, he could maintain indefinitely. He realized within a human body he had a chance for a new life. Now, he apparently found a young boy. It says, as the frightened villagers ran, night became day. Curious and without fear, he walked towards the light. Ra took him and possessed his body like some kind of a parasite looking for a host. And inhabiting this human form, he appointed himself ruler.
A lot of times my message is misconstrued as being not spiritual or being overly negative. I think they miss a lot of what I say because my point is that to be a spiritual person, to be a person that really matters, and to really keep your power, which is your spirituality, and not become a slave, you have to know what the problems are. You have to identify them. You have to be mature enough and responsible enough to look them in the face and say, I've got to do something about this. And unfortunately, a lot of things that I talk about, if we don't do something about it, then it's not going to make a pile of beans whether you're spiritual or not. You're going to be somebody's slave in a future New World Order. It's going to be a totalitarian socialist state.